up all night and just be cool. But when you on the air and you gotta be on,
Yeah.
and
Even when you don't feel like
when you
it.
don't feel like it be days where you sick. You gotta
Yes.
sound unsick, So yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the Tissue Box Podcast. I'm your host, Pam Jordan.
Welcome to another episode of the Tissue Box Podcast. We are so happy that you have joined us today, and we have a very, very, very special guest joining us, someone who has truly made a mark in the world of radio. He's the voice that you know and love from Florence's number one station, Win 1063. He's the dynamic, incredible, the one and only BigMMike. Now, he's not just any radio host. He's a phenomenal personality with an incredible knack for connecting with his audience. His energy, his charisma, and passion for radio have made him a household name and a true legend in the industry. He's entertained and inspired countless listeners, and today we have the honor of diving deep into his journey and hearing some of his amazing stories. So sit back, relax, and get ready for an unforgettable episode, and entertaining, I might add, as we welcome BigMMike to the Tissue Box Podcast, the radio killer. What's up, BigMMike?
Oh man.
Yeah, that's you.
I felt like, oh, who's she talking about?
I'm talking about you.
I love that. Thank you for having me.
Well, so listen, you and I, no secret, we've been working together for a number of years, and I want to go back to the day that we first met when you first came on board, and it was like we connected from the jump, and we've really literally been inseparable since.
BigMMike, Big P.
BigMMike, Big P. And so tell us a little bit about your radio journey and how you got into radio.
Well, my journey actually started by accident. I was in college, but I was going for pre-law. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Because I could argue you down.
Yes,
and
you
I
can.
felt like, that was
And he
what
will.
that was what I was supposed to do. But I was the president of the Black Student Union, and I went to the radio station to do a PSA, a public service announcement, and I'm in there, and while we were waiting, everybody knows radio and all that, but I'm just sitting in there and I'm just watching them, and I'm just like, well, I'm funny. I can make people laugh, and I can speak well. I probably am doing the wrong thing. So
That's
I'm
what you
sitting
thought.
there. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Okay.
And I'm sitting in there, and then just so happened, the program director was walking past, and shout out to Dan Hunt. Dan Hunt gave me my first shot. He's in Atlanta now, so shout out to Dan.
Mm-hmm.
He was walking past, and I just so happened to be cracking a joke, and the DJs in there were laughing. And he was just like, dude, you funny as hell. Like, you ever thought about radio? And my first thought was money, so I'm like, how much you pay?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, let's just talk. So after I finished and after they got off the morning show, I went in his office and he was just like, no, seriously, have you ever thought about radio? And I was just like, no. And he was like, well, what if we gave you a shot?
Wow.
And I was just like, well, I got class. And I listen, what do you mean a shot? What time is it? All these different questions. And he was just like, well, how about you come back tonight at like 11 o'clock and we'll see. So I went back at 11 o'clock. Long story short, I was doing overnights for maybe like, I want to say like maybe 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Before, now overnights is midnight to 5.
Yes, sir.
And
I
we was
remember.
completely
You know so well.
live at that time.
Yes.
And it was hard.
Awesome.
From there here.
And you know what? That's probably hindsight. That's probably why we connected so well, because I have such a similar story.
Up all night, and just be cool. But when you on the air and you gotta be on,
Yeah.
and
Even when you don't feel like
when
it.
you don't feel like it be days where you sick. You gotta
Yes.
sound unsick. So yeah.
But some days when I'm unsick or I am sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I call you and I say, Mike, I ain't feeling it today. What
And
you
I
doing?
hate those
Yeah,
days
yeah, you
because I
hate those
hate. Let
days.
me tell you
Yeah.
something. First of all, as a PD, program director. I hate dudes in the midday. One. Two, I hate doing it. It
Yeah,
seems
I
like your
know.
show is so long.
Well, it is because it's an extra hour, and you guys,
Look, let
you
me stay there
cruise.
3 to 7, okay? Let me stay in the afternoon because middays is just too much.
Okay, so how was your decision then to did you quit college to go into
I
radio? How did
did.
that go? You
I did. I was
Wow.
like, listen, the first thing that I thought was, listen, I'm not going to pay to learn how to do or be something when I could just do this because I can. You know what I mean? Like, this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
natural. I can speak, I can laugh, I can talk, I can crack a joke. I love music. Like, why would I? And I've been 21 years, next 20 years.
20
20
years in,
years.
yeah. So how'd your mom feel about that decision to quit college and get into radio?
Um, well, at the time, she really didn't have a say so
Oh,
because I wasn't at home.
oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
I guess we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
okay.
wasn't at home at this time. I was on my own basically.
Okay.
Hmm.
So never look back.
Never looked back.
So what about that dream in the back of your head about being a lawyer? Do you
It
still
was
have that
gone
desire?
because my original dream, since I was able to talk, I'm going to Hollywood.
Oh, look
Like,
at you.
yep. Since I was able to talk, I was fascinated by limos and show business and all of
Really?
this stuff. And like my older aunts would be like, "You done been to Hollywood?" Because because of course I done been to LA a lot of times. But it's just thinking back to when I was a legit, and I'm going to Hollywood. That was my plan.
Wow. You still have that plan?
No, because I've been to Hollywood, and Hollywood is a dirty place.
And this is true. We know this.
um, but my ultimate goal was just always to see my name in lights.
Yeah. Okay, well, BigMike, radio killer. You in lights. So tell us about your transition to Florence. How did that come about?
That came about because at the time I was working in Columbus, Georgia, and I was doing afternoons on WFXC Foxy 105, and I had just came back from Denver. Just so happened, Columbus is a tri-city, so it's comprised of Fort Benning, Columbus, and Phoenix City, Alabama. So Fort Benning, the operations manager for Max Media out of Denver, was visiting family or whatever, and he heard me on the air
Ah.
and got in contact with me through social media, and they flew me out to Denver, and I ain't gonna say I got regrets, but the job was a midday job, which I hate anyway. But the money was, oh god, and not only the money, it was like they also were offering me a year, a corporate apartment. So it was like basically you can
Nice.
add that to your salary.
Okay,
So
sweet.
I'm like, okay, well maybe I should. And just so happened the situation that I was in at this particular radio station wasn't the best, and I go out to Denver, come back, and I'm just so excited. I'm like, oh, they giving me everything I ever wanted. Ooh, ooh, plus it's Denver. Like, who don't like Denver? Um, so I asked my PD at the time, who was a black man, and I'm just like, listen, I've literally been all over this country doing this radio thing. This is the ideal job with the ideal money. What would you do? Now I asked him that on, let's just say, a Thursday. Friday morning I come to work, do my whole show. They pulled me in the office Friday afternoon and was just like, we're going in a different direction. We no longer need your services. And I'm just like, what? So I immediately looked at him. Now, let me give you a little backstory. He was kind of upset because of how I came there. The operations manager there recruited me from Shreveport. Same thing. Had heard me, wanted to get and offered me a job. but I didn't take direction from the PD. I took direction from the OM, and he was always, a little spiteful behind that.
A little salty.
Yeah, just a little bit, tad bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I looked at him and I was just like, so I took you to dinner last night.
You
And I
said this
t-
in
yeah,
the.
this and I explained to you that I was given this particular opportunity. I didn't tell you I was going to take it. I asked you what would you do, and you told me what, and he said, "Well, if it's right, then you take it." And I said, "I don't want to just go somewhere else to just be on the air again.
Right.
I want more than that."
Yeah.
So I actually decided to not take it. Fast forward, they fired me. I went home, got on my laptop. I saw on All Access that Cumulus was hiring. Now, I worked for Cumulus before, but never as a program director, just on air. So I said, you know what, I'm going to apply. Now, mind you, the Denver opportunity is still on the table. But in my mind, I was just like, I don't want to go somewhere else just to be on the air. I want a little bit
You
more.
want a little bit more, yeah.
So I saw the PD position for Florence. I applied. The GM at the time, Craig, he called me. It was literally like maybe an hour. An hour later, he called me and asked me if I wanted to come down, if I was interested, if I was really interested, because Florence is a really small market,
It is.
and a lot of people don't come to stay, and he's looking for somebody that's going to stay. He told me about the previous PD and how he's looking for somebody to come and take the station to the next level, but be willing to stay for at least 2 years. So I said, okay. So I ain't had nothing in Columbus. I was just like, I'm only here because this job. I'm gonna go see what's going on. So I drove to Florence, interviewed. Maybe 20 minutes after I left the interview, Craig called me back and offered me the job. And I told him, I said, I'm actually up for a job in Denver that pays a lot more money, and it's a way better opportunity. Can I think about it? So on my way back to Georgia, I was just like, man, what do I want to do? By the time I made it to Columbia, I was just like, I ain't trying to be just on the air. I'm ready. I'm ready to program. I'm ready to do what I need to do. So I called Craig back and I told him, I said, look, if you can pay my traveling expenses, plus put me up in a hotel till I get on my feet and all of that, I'll come. They gave me 2 months. 2 months at the hotel. Shout out to Hotel Florence. That was my house for 2 months. They put me up, and I came on to Florence.
Wow.
And that's how I got here.
Yeah, and we're so happy that you are here. Yes.
Well, I'm glad.
Because we love you and we love you on the air.
I'm glad.
Because you're so funny.
I'm glad.
Yeah. And argumentative.
Well, I try not to be so much.
But you are. We love that about you, though. You wouldn't be BigMike if
I can dig it.
Yeah. So let's talk about your family for a little bit.
Okay.
Because I know your mom, and I know you come from a strong family unit, particularly your grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your grandma and how special she was to you and your upbringing and what a lasting impression she made in your life.
My mom had me at 16, so I'm a lot part of grandma's baby. She played a major part in my upbringing, with all of us, really. Grandmas do that. But I was Mikey.
I don't know about these new grandmas.
They too young.
Yeah.
I was Mikey to everybody till maybe 10 or 11. And then she started calling me BigMike. So that's where BigMike came.
That's where BigMike
That's
came.
where BigMike came from.
Okay.
When I was, I want to say in the 7th grade, fifth going into 6th, I used to play football and I got hurt really bad. And they found out that I had Blount's disease. And I
What
had
is that?
Blount's disease.
Okay.
Basically, like your bones break real easy. They call it bilateral Blount's disease. And my legs had gotten like really bad, so I had surgery. where they basically broke them because they was really bow, like
Okay.
from
Oh,
birth.
okay.
My legs were really bow from birth, and they broke them, and I had what they call it. I want to say defeat. I can't remember what it was called, but anyway, I had these metal contraptions on my legs, so I was, a sickly kid from that point on. Before that, I didn't have anything going on, so I was always with my grandma.
So it was the football that.
What, me getting hurt
Okay.
is what caused them to go in and figure out what was going on.
Okay.
Um,
So you had Forrest
so I
Gump
had,
legs.
huh?
You had Forrest Gump
Yeah,
legs.
it was real similar to that.
Okay.
It was like a metal rod. Like I still have in my right leg, I have a metal plate. In my left leg, I have screws. But it was like a metal rod, and then three like halos around it,
Yeah.
and pins going through.
Oh,
That was in my leg. So I was in a wheelchair, like basically all my middle school years.
really?
So I was living with my grandma, and it was just basically me, her, and another one of my cousins, Portia, who is a year under me. We were real tight. We was like the thickest. We was thick as thieves. We'd always be with grandma, going to stores and just always with her, cooking, learning how to cook. Doing different things. And yeah, so that was us. And we the two oldest of all the grandkids. So we was always with grandma.
So where are you from originally?
Born in Madison.
Born in Madison.
Born in Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Raised between there and Chicago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So thick family unit in
very.
this area. So how is it with you moving all over with radio? Were you like missing family? How you deal with that, especially grandma?
Well, I travel a lot.
Yes, you do.
I travel a lot. I am on a plane pretty much every weekend. And I get that from her. Like my grandma was always up and at it until she got sick. She had a lot of the same issues that I have now. Yeah. A lot of the same issues I have now, and now it's only now I know exactly how she felt. You know what I mean? Like I know exactly how she feels. That's like from day to day. Because when we were going through it with her, it's kind of like, man, like, why can't you? Why can't you get up? Or why are you so out of breath just walking from the car to the house?
Now you understand.
And now wholeheartedly I understand.
So what was that like seeing her go through that, knowing how much of an influence she was to you, and seeing her not being able to do the things that she used to do? What did that do to you?
It was real rough. It was times that I thought that maybe I should just quit this job and just go be with her. She had moved to California. We got a lot of family in California too. So she had moved to California, and she actually ended up having to leave because she got so sick. And she moved back to be with my mom. And I remember one day I just went, and all I could do was just sit next to her and just like rub her back, because I didn't know what she was feeling. But I could see it all on her face. Like,
She was tired.
and she kept saying it. Like, I'm just tired. And I'm thinking, well, take a nap. Let's just lay here and just take a nap.
Yeah.
It wasn't
that kind of tired.
It wasn't that kind of tired.
Yeah. And so when she passed away, I know that you and I came to be as close as we are, and I'm super. This is a brother sister. It's truly a brother and sister relationship right here. And I've been there through your trials and your health issues, and I seen the scared look in your eyes many times when I've been at the hospital with you, and that one time when you just broke down, and it was all about your grandma. It was all about your grandma. So it's like in our weakest moments, we think of those that are so close to us and who meant
Yeah.
so much to us. And I felt that from you. So how do you stay strong through that?
I challenge her energy, channel her energy, because she was it.
Mm.
Like my grandma was the rock. Um, Marilyn Bell, she was just it. She was so regal.
Mm.
Um, like you ever see etiquette classes like on TV and all that kind of stuff? That's her, without
Mm.
it being her. Like my grandma was a true lady. I used to crack jokes like, "Grandma, I ain't never heard you fart,"
You
and
did.
and it's just something, just like humanly things you just didn't see from her. And it's like,
Right.
well, when do you do it? um, Her house was immaculate. You could eat off the floor. It was so
Oh,
clean
yeah.
and so organized. And our channel all of that. It's just like
I gotta keep going.
she had the strength to just keep going and
Yeah.
keep going and keep going. And I have to do that too. Like I had a conversation with my auntie last week, and she was just like, "You can't be Superman for everybody
Mm.
because they don't see me break down, or they don't see me wallow in my sadness or my sickness. So it's kind of like people like, well, how do you handle it, everything? And I'm just like, I just got to keep going.
Yeah. Let can we talk a little
Mm-hmm.
bit about your health issues and
Mm-hmm.
what you've been experiencing? So let's talk about this. You are a diabetic,
Mm-hmm.
and how serious is that for you right now at this point?
Well, my diabetes is actually under control.
Okay. That's good.
Um, and it wasn't always.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of years. I was diagnosed with diabetes in high school, but then I was just like, got no damn diabetes.
Yeah. And whatever.
And yeah, so I'm like, all right. I kept on living
Doing
life,
what you
doing what
yes.
I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was around the time that I got to Shreveport where it started to take a turn. Actually, before I left, I was in Tyler, Texas before I left Shreveport. Um, Tyler, I had stepped on a nail
Oh boy.
and ended up in the hospital because, when you're a diabetic, your feet are so important. Um, and it got infected.
Well, let me ask you this. At this point, were you on medication for
I
diabetes?
wasn't.
You was
I
not.
was
Even
not.
though you had been diagnosed in high school.
Even though I was diagnosed, they gave it to me, but I wasn't taking it. And then, years that went past, and I just didn't have it. I wasn't taking it. But
Do you
when this
think that's
happened,
because it happened to you because you were so young and you feel like
I felt invincible.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say that it was because I felt invincible. But I got this infection, and at the time I was like still feeling invincible. Like I would quit a job and be like, I don't need this, I'm out, and have another one later that day. That's how bad I was moving from
Wow.
this state, this city, and this state to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been like that for a long time. So this particular time I was in Tyler, and I had got in my mind that they was just not my speed at the time. So I was feeling in one of my moods, and was like, you know what, f this, I'm out of here, and I quit. And the PD in Shreveport had reached out to somebody and was trying to find me. So they finally got a hold of me. I actually was the PD of my competing station in Tyler. So Shawnee Scott, she had reached out to me and was like, Quinn Eccles is trying to get a hold of you. And I was like, well, good, because I just quit the Blaze like I'm gone. So I called Quinn, and he was just like, "Can you be here?" Or no, he said, "Can you come see me tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, I'll be there. What time? He gave me the address and all that. So I left there. I didn't go right to Shreveport. I went to Dallas. And I had a meeting with George Cook to try to get on K104. That went totally left. Left there, went to Shreveport, met with Quinn. And I was on the air that night.
Wow.
So back to what you were saying though about the diabetes. So I had gotten sick, got the infection, still didn't have any medication. But by me just quitting my job, they go my insurance.
Right.
So when I get to Shreveport, I didn't have any insurance. The infection got worse. I was ended up in the hospital. Stayed there for a couple weeks or
So
whatever.
you weren't even treating
No,
Mike.
I know. Now I know. I'm gonna say now I know. So in Shreveport, I didn't have any insurance. So that was the start of me realizing that diabetes was a real thing, and that it could take me out. So that was half of the reason why I left Shreveport to go to Columbus, because they were offering a full package that included insurance, and at the time I needed it. I needed insulin, I needed wound care, I needed a lot. So I'm like, look, I gotta leave this, even though I love Shreveport. It's like a little Vegas, casinos and everything, casinos everywhere, flashing lights everywhere. So yeah, I realized going to Shreveport how serious diabetes was. Fast forward, after I get to Columbus, I got to a nephrologist who could tell me different things about my kidneys and about diabetes, because I saw the endocrinologist about the diabetes, and he told me that my kidneys were worsening. And that if I didn't,
Because of the diabetes, yeah.
because of the mixture of the diabetes and the high blood pressure, if I didn't start taking care of myself, I would end up on dialysis.
You still weren't listening.
No, it scared me. So that's why when I came here and you and I connected and you weren't eating meat at the time, that's why I joined the whole no meat bandwagon. And it was so good for me. Like I just looked at pictures last night about the time that I got here after I had stopped eating the meat and all of that, how much weight I had lost and how good I looked. And it was just like, man. But fast forward today, I couldn't stop the years of not taking care of myself, and it progressed to end stage renal failure.
That's where you are now.
That's where I'm now. So there is no getting better with my kidneys unless I get a transplant. They're done. So I'm on dialysis 3 times a week. I do have a longer chair time than most, so I sit there for almost 5 hours, 3 days a week. But it's what's keeping me alive, so I got to do it.
So how is your mental space with all of this, knowing the health challenges that you're facing right now, and your kidneys are failing? I would think that it would be easily to slip into a depression, and how are you?
I don't really think about it much, to be honest. I just keep going. I try to, whether it be travel, whether it be work, whether it be I use all of those things really as a distraction, because I feel like once I sit down and once I actually think about everything that I got going on,
Yeah.
I don't know where I would be mentally.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
But you rely on your granny's strength every time you feel like you
To
want
keep
take
going.
a dip.
Yep.
You'd say, think back on Grammy.
Because she was so strong to go through it, because she also had renal failure. She had lupus. She had overcame breast cancer. Like, she went through a lot. And if her little self can do it, I can just hear her saying, you got it. I could literally hear her saying, you got it. So I just go through it. You know?
Well, you know, you ain't going through it alone.
Yeah.
You know you got me. We in this thing together.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So, wow, there were so many tissue box moments in that conversation that we had just now. So, if
I know. I feel like we done skipped over this place, this, this.
But your tissue box moment, it seems like so many. Your life has been full of them.
Yeah.
But one that you say that was the most challenging that you triumphed over. That's the one in particular that we want to get to, because drawing on everything that you said, I'm sure somebody seeing this episode today is gonna feel like they can climb a mountain, you know, when the odds are against them. So
that moment for me was being homeless. Yeah. Not knowing where I was going to eat next. Sleeping in my car. All for the love of radio. I was not giving up. I wasn't going home. It was me against the world. And I was just like, listen, if I want this, this is all my sacrifice. I remember the station I was working at the time used to have like buffet cards, and we would use them for prizes, but I was stealing them to be able to eat.
okay.
It was the truth. But that was my moment where I knew that if I wanted this as bad as I say I wanted it, I had to keep going.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna write a book one day. I got a lot of tissue box moments.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my moment.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you sharing, and we appreciate your vulnerability and sharing your tissue box moments. You've had several. But again, we thank you for sharing today, and let folks know how they can find you on social media.
You can find me on all platforms at I am BigMMike.
The Radio Killer.
The Radio Killer. You gotta sing it.
Oh,
Radio
sorry.
Killer.
You're so funny, and I love you. You know that, right? Okay.
And I love you too.
Okay. Thanks again for
Absolutely.
sharing. You even gave me some moments that I wasn't even aware of today, and I thought I knew just about everything about you. So yeah, thank you for that.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you again for watching this particular episode of the Tissue Box Podcast. We certainly hope that you will like, subscribe, and comment. And be sure to stay connected with us at thetissuebox.com.
Thank you for joining us. Be sure to subscribe, leave rating, and a review. And let's stay connected. Visit thetissuebox.com to join our mailing list. Until next time.